Oh, I try not to get too serious. You got to continue to dance like nobody's watching, you know?
Right? Right?
How are
Hello,
you?
hello, hello.
Hello, beautiful.
Right back at you, my friend. How are
Hmm.
you today?
Grateful to be here. Like you say,
Mm-hmm.
holding the grief and the gratitude. I love that phrase, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we get, you might feel like you shouldn't feel that way when there's all this good stuff going on, but there's a lot of other stuff going on. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
always the case. So that's how I am
Right?
today. How are you?
I am well. Like I
Good.
I have a little bumps in the road and some challenges, but
Yeah,
overall I am well.
I
Should
hear
we
you.
do our official intro and kick this off?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do
All right.
it. Hi, ladies. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial entrepreneur, an author, the founder of Shalo Glow LLC, an all natural handmade personal products company that helps people glow from head to toe. I am your champion for natural self care, business care, and intentional wellness.
Hey y'all, I'm Christine Gotro, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, Amazon bestselling author with my friend Shannon Mitchell, and
Yes.
a dancing social worker who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Together, we are a podcast rooted in the eight dimensions of wellness and the co founders of Women Connected in Wisdom Community.
We like to get together every week for intentional conversation about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness. And often we have really cool guests on. Today is one of our wrap up shows. So today it's me and you.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
I always love having guests, and I love when it's just me and you.
Yeah, me
And
too.
as we were prepping for today and thinking about season 11, which we are wrapping up, like it has been a season unlike any other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, when I think about 2 years, I think about 100 episodes and still thinking about the statistics that you told us last week, right? If we have, what is it, 3.4 million podcasts and less than 150,000 of them have more than four episodes, you know? So to know that this is episode 101 at the wrap of our 11th season is super exciting. To know that I've talked to that many amazing women and have bettered my life, but also that I get to spread it.
Right? And
Yeah.
we're just coming off this weekend, our local
Ooh,
folks. So we met a few of you.
so
We had
good.
10 authors at the Overture at Buckhead in Atlanta, and
Yes.
a fabulous author event and a day of wellness. And I just think about community building and like how incredibly fun this was. And, we titled this episode about manifesting your dreams.
Yeah.
And I think, could you have ever imagined Saturday when we started thinking about the podcast?
No, when I say like, I think that it's on the list and it's a huge list, right? Of the way that God exceeds expectations. But no, to be an author, sure, even if at the top of it, I would have said that I was an author. But for me to put together compilation books, and like I not only was Amazon bestseller at a young age, me and my army, you know, me and the ladies, we all came like, and then to meet in person and to have my best friend of 20 years there and one of my best friends from college, they get to talk to Co. One of them's the reason we know Co. One of them's the reason that Co is even in the book, you know, but to just see it was beautiful. Yeah.
Well, and we often shout out Sati Mara, who is our
Yes.
behind the scenes tech, and she led
Mhm.
a Kukumara. Is it Kukumara? Am I saying that right?
I
The
believe so.
She is the only African certified African dance instructor in this
Kukuwa,
modality,
I
Kukuwa,
think.
in
Yes.
Atlanta, and maybe in all of Georgia.
Hmm.
And I got to dance with her on Saturday, and that
Yes.
was so fun,
I thought it
so
was
fun,
perfect that you and Cecile were in there together, you know?
right?
And that was the thing, y'all. It was hard to choose. We had authors that were upset about having to choose between where they were gonna go, you know, guests that were like, I want to go to both. And
I want
so
to go to all of them, right?
just so you know, that's always going to be a thing as we continue to grow. It's you're going to miss a session, you're going to have to catch the replays or take your notes
Or
from the
come to
front
the
and see
next
what the
event and pick different
you know.
sessions, right?
And it's always different though because you know we all do a lot. So one time it might be this topic, the next time it'll be that. and it'll be whatever's relevant. So
Mhm.
yes, but if you can make it, you want to make it to the
I think the other
event.
thing is our list of resources with our authors and
Right.
our guests that come on, like our show notes, like
Yes.
and one easy way to access it is through the community, through the Women Connected
Hmm.
Wisdom community. But
Right.
I think really knowing that if you don't know, if you're like, I need help with this topic, we got a list of resources for you. We
Yeah.
have got folks. I mean, I was thinking about Sati and her class, and
Mm.
she led us through some of the ones she leads with kids and was doing the dance and the movement and like going,
Yeah.
I am amazing. Like, and
Mm.
how that feels in your body and the
Mm.
of it with
Mm.
doing the move, I'm all about embodied. And
Yes.
it was powerful.
Mm.
It was really powerful. And I popped into Cecile Armstrong's class when she did some Zentangle
Mm.
and with one of her four pillars using self-care and using
Yeah.
art and self-care. That was
Mm.
awesome.
And I saw some of the artwork at the different stations, and I said, "Oh, I remember she said that,
Mhm.
they were going to make artwork with a certain number of shapes, and it was beautiful. The mandala I saw."
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you think about manifesting, when
Hmm.
you think about manifesting your goals and your dreams,
Hmm.
what do you think works the best for you?
What do I think works the best? First, I think that it's the belief that it's possible, right? Part of me wants to say writing it down. I think that's huge. But first is the belief that it's possible, because I think that's the gap between I have all this stuff and somebody asks, like me, right? Is it written down? And it's a no. It's maybe for me, it was, maybe I didn't think it was possible. And then why, well, why not? And so the belief that it's possible. And a lot of people have said, oh, you seem so sure, the surety and the confidence that you talked with. And I love that. I get that. I get that from knowing that God has a purpose for me and I was made for a reason and all things work for my good. So that is helps me anchor, and I know, okay, well, what do I feel like I want to do in this season? What do I see that I need in this season? I started three businesses because we need cash flow and stuff has to be sustainable for generations. So because I knew that was the goal, that's what I decided to do, and I believe that was possible because I believe it's my life is for a bigger purpose. But if you don't believe that, then it's hard to believe that you can manifest. It's hard to know what to even think about. And I don't necessarily think about it, oh, I'm about to manifest these businesses. I
Mhm.
instead just say, hey, Christine, we're meeting at 2 instead of 4:45 for the podcast. And for 2 years, we put in blocks of time and we show up and we work the
Mhm.
plan. So that's how I think about it. But believing in it, the seed of what is it? The faith of a mustard seed, I
Mhm.
think is the biggest thing.
I love that. I love that.
What about you?
I think about the power of community. Our
Yeah.
listeners are not going to be shocked when we talk about our Monday manifesting group and the looking at the good and the affirming. And there are times, I mean, we've been doing that group for well over 5 years. We've
Yes.
been doing the Women Connecting Wisdom podcast and book for, two. But
Right.
there are times that we doubt, right? There are times
Yes.
that we're tired or our bodies hurt or something's going on in our families and we doubt. I mean, even at this event, right?
Hmm.
We had somebody call us and like, what if nobody shows up? Which
Yes.
and the power of community to say, girl, if nobody shows up, we're gonna have a great time and
It's
take some
us.
fun pictures and have a
Yep.
good time. And then the people come, right?
Yes.
That that power of believing in ourselves, like you said, believing in each other.
Hmm.
And when we forget or when we're having a low day, having somebody remind us
Yeah.
that you got this, right?
Yeah.
You've got
And
this.
and like you said, it's the trusting that you're gonna get that, knowing that when you get to this environment, it's gonna add, it's gonna fill into your bucket instead of taking away.
Mhm.
And not in a unhealthy way of what was the term? I was talking about it on another show when it's like toxic positivity, when that's all you talk
Right,
about. We're
right.
realistic. We're like,
No.
wait a minute, where are you on your goals? Why is this not happening? And that was really the thing, right? I was supposed to go to the dentist and ended up on a phone call, ended up at work, and all the ladies were like, wait a minute, what happened to the dentist appointment? And I'm like, I don't know, I got lost. I was on the phone. And when you look back at your actions and you're self accountable, right? And you realize that if you needed to go to the dentist, why did you get on the phone? That phone call should have had to be stopped so that you could find your way to take care of your body. Because if your body breaks
Mhm.
down, you're not going to be talking to anybody if you teeth falling out your mouth. You know what I mean? And
Right.
Christine said, "What happened last time you went to
Right.
the dentist?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I had my wisdom teeth pulled out and went straight to work with no medicine. I
Mm.
didn't realize I had surgery, had like super minimized it. I said, maybe that's
Mhm.
why I don't want to come back. So, you know,
Right.
community shows you a mirror to yourself and helps you see different details that you might not see as really important.
Yeah, I think about, every Tuesday morning, Sheila and I lead the Radical Self and Community Care class on the Reimagine platform. And I think about how we talk about every week that we don't have to do this by ourselves,
Mm,
that we can do this in community, and that self-care is actually easier in community, and I would
mm,
say manifesting your goals is easier in community,
yeah.
because you've got people cheering you on, you've got
Hmm.
people encouraging you and holding you accountable. And when you stumble,
Hmm.
because I mean, I think that's inevitable. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at all the books, you look at all the, talking about, oh, yes, you succeed, but how many times do you fail, all that,
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
know that's part of it. But
Yeah.
when you stumble, or when you're not able to get out of bed, that you've got people who can lift you up, you know
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah, and it reminds you that, like I was talking to my friend, she said, it's been X amount of years and I'm still in the same place. And I said, well, that's not true. You've had two children, so if financially you feel like you're in the same place, then you're probably doing a little bit better because your expenses went up. So, there's always a way to think about it. But for me, when I think about women connected in wisdom, not just the podcast or the book, I think about the women that I'm connected to in my life, and I look around and I see your laptop because my laptop's in the shop. Like, yep, there's Christine, here's my purse, Christmas present or birthday present. Yep, there's Christine, and I look around and see, Michelle from the bank and the different people that help us get to where we are, whether it's in the kitchen or my car or a conversation or the way that I process something. I can see the ladies, the influence, and how I would not have made it to this point had these three people not stepped in the time that they did.
Speaking of Michelle from the bank, First
Yeah.
Citizens Bank, give them a big old shout out. We
Yes.
appreciate y'all. Were those not nuts that she gave us? Fabulous. Like,
Hey, it's February 1st, and I will be honest, right? Because we talk about the reality. I said I'm a fast sugar, I'm not going to be on it. And I said, we're not going to open the second bag till February 1st. They're gone. They didn't make it. There are no survivors, okay? It's so good.
this was a gift, y'all, that
Yeah.
our banker gave us that was just, oh my gosh, had
Hmm.
no idea it was going to be that good. That was fabulous. So
Yeah,
let's
they
talk
were.
about season 11. Let's talk about some of our
Yeah.
guests that showed up. For our listeners, if you haven't had a chance to listen,
Mm,
we said that this was a season unlike any other, and it really
yeah.
was, because we, first of all, we had 3 weeks off during this season. That's the first time that's ever happened on the show.
Yeah.
It's part of our goals and our dreams is to
Yeah.
really model self-care. And I remember a year ago at Thanksgiving, we were, the night before, we're both cooking, trying to, we're producing a podcast. We're like, what did we
Whew,
just do to ourselves, right? So
Lord.
this year, part of season 11, it started
Yeah.
off with Candy Dugas, and
Hmm.
she was realizing it's in her bones. And she was talking about her awesome work with youth and
Yeah.
theater, and that's coming up pretty soon. That we want to
It
check
is.
in with those.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's a awesome artist, activist, doing the work. Then there was Shannon Felder with harnessing the power of conflict. That was a powerful conversation,
Really
um,
good.
right? And talking about why conflict is a part of our life and a part of our teams and a part of leadership,
Yeah.
and how to actually harness that and work with that.
Yeah.
She was powerful. Then we had
And
Sarah
when you
J. Oh,
I want to give some light to them because it's interesting how we talk about the authors, right? And oh, you ladies work so well together. But just like the dimensions of wellness, when you do the work, their work is complementary. Outside of us, outside of me and Christine, these two ladies could have an amazing conversation. When
mhm.
I think about, um, is it Dr. Dugas? I don't know if it's Dr. Is it Dr. Candy? We
Think
usually
it,
put that.
yes,
I
yes, I
think it
believe
is
it is.
though.
Yep.
But her work and the monologue, I think you were mentioning the monologue competition that's coming up in
Mhm.
March. And
Yep.
so I think about her like Shannon Ivy, right? Helping people with their voice. And so when we're realizing it's in our bones and helping people with their voice, and then we had Shannon Felder right after that, the week after Thanksgiving and conflict, I thought that was perfect because when I was an RA on Kennesaw's campus, I had to have that conversation with a lot of residents. We can
Mhm.
communicate. It doesn't have to be confrontational, right? But in life, we have to process these things. So what does it look like? So I love having those ladies back to back like that as experts.
And we need to give a shout out to all our college RAs out there. My baby
Yes.
girl being one of them, because it
Yes.
is a big deal holding that much
Huge.
space for that many people,
Yeah.
right? It's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
So then we came up with one of your college roommates, right?
Hmm. So Sarah and I were actually roommates after college. So this is emerging from college campus, and I'm realizing how structured college still was. And Sarah was one of those ladies in that moment in my life where she was like, "This is how it should be. This is what you need
Right.
as a young lady," and that was a really good time. And she's
And she
from
was talking
Sincerely
about
Shameless.
sincerely shameless, yeah.
It's important. It's important.
Right.
Yeah,
And we've had a
navigating the
really good
holidays.
conversation, yeah, about navigating holidays. Sarah J is going to be one of our authors in our upcoming Women Connected in Wisdom Volume 2 book. So I
Yes,
can't
she is.
wait to read her story
Yeah.
and have that out and about at the end of this year.
It's amazing. And I mean, like all of our ladies, one chapter is not enough. I feel like we need a chapter and then we need our own book so we could tell all of it and keep going. But yes, I'm excited for her to be part of it too. And then we had Dr. Peggy DeLong and Elevate Your Happiness. And that was really good. How you can, in that 5 minutes, what were the five things? I need to go back and listen to it again.
Right? Well, one of them was talking about saying thank you when you wake up in the morning. It was
Mm-hmm.
talking about starting your day with thankfulness.
Yeah.
It was also looking for the little things. Because
Mm-hmm.
remember her story about being in the hospital room and really giving gratitude for that cup of hazelnut coffee every day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about her work, I think about the power of being in our bodies. That part of a gratitude practice or a thankfulness practice is about being present. It's about like, oh, I love this mug. I can tell you exactly where I got this mug from, whose
Yeah.
hands made it,
Yeah.
and I love the tea that's in it, and I give gratitude that the grocery store had it buy one get one free this
Mm-hmm.
week.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Love a good deal.
there's so much to give
Yeah.
gratitude for, right?
Yeah. And for me, genuinely, gratitude helps me prevent depression, because it
Mhm.
can be easy, and especially with the bombardment of stimuli that we intake, the stories from social media, the stories from the news, situations in our own lives with loved ones or that we have personally, because that's still going on while everything else is going on. And so I think it helps me remember that there's also good, to look for the joy, to remember that, okay, there's these things that you can't control that happen that might feel like they add weight, but there's also these things that are really great that add a lot of stuff that maybe part of that you didn't have control over either. And so it helps me, like Still Point talk about, sort what's mine, what somebody else's, what I picked the weight up with for, and okay, now I have action steps, my wisdom in action. This is what I need to do next, or I let it go and process it and keep going.
Right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because as you said, there's just a lot right now. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody, this month has been really challenging to start the
Mm.
year for a lot of people, both personally and collectively, right?
Yeah.
We know what's happening in the news. We know
Hmm.
which wait, pause and shout out. Today is February 1st,
Black History
National
Month.
Black History Month,
Yes.
which, we should be celebrating every day.
Hmm.
And um
And we do.
and we do, right? And but I mean the
Yes.
media and
Yes, of course.
there's so much talk when you're on LinkedIn, if you're on LinkedIn today, you're
Yes.
seeing it. Like
Mm.
and really the ask about being respectful and uplifting and celebrating every day, not just
Hmm.
especially for folks who aren't black, like
Yeah.
this should be an everyday thing. This shouldn't
Yeah.
be 28 days of the year. So,
The shortest month of the year,
right?
but no.
Right?
No. And again, I take it as space to have the conversation. And I think I said this last year. I actually now take it as the opportunity to do things that scare me. So I'm going to be on social media a little bit more this month and work on stepping into the business on that side as we come over, right? I'm going to do a couple of different things this month that usually I would maybe have nerves about or um,
Do you
want to
want to tell
procrastinate
people?
on. Like,
Well, I'm
what, we
sorry.
can't announce it. I think we can announce it. Are you
All
talking
right.
about the different talks?
I'm talking about what's happening this weekend for
There's
you.
so much stuff happening this weekend. So, y'all, the schedule for Black History Month, okay, is on and popping this weekend. I don't know if you know this. No, I did mention it on Manifestation Mondays. So, starting off, music video. Okay, that's on Friday. Yes, music video. We're gonna have both the brands hopefully in that, and that's gonna be super exciting. And then we have the Black Beauty Expo. So this is gonna be Shaylo Glow's biggest event, and of course, anywhere Shaylo Glow goes, Women Connected in Wisdom goes. So if you go to booth 127 this Sunday between 10 to 6, we're gonna have some Women Connected stuff. You'll get a little spot where you can relax and listen to some of our stories. We'll have the different hydration stations that I go through, and I'll teach you how I glow from head to toe and take care of my body with different products and Shaylo Glow. But I'm super excited to be part of this event. They're talking about how to reimagine Black beauty, right? So for Black History Month, that's a huge thing. We talk about how Black bodies are treated, and there's days and years of content and things and conversations that need to be had and things we could talk about, right? But for me, being at this event is about daily practices. Okay, these people don't know how to treat you or don't treat you well. Let's talk about what we're going to do every day to call back the power and the energy to our bodies, right? To check in and see if anywhere needs attention, but also to make sure we're moisturized and that we're sealing our moisture barrier. So we're protecting our immune system to thwart foolishness and things in the air and everything else, you know. So glowing from head to toe, excited to do that at the Black Beauty Expo. And we have a couple of more events coming at the end of the month and everything for you guys.
Right? You have a couple of speaking
Yes,
engagements. You
yes.
are. You want to tell our listeners what about the article that's currently out?
Oh, yes. So Canvas Rebel did a feature. And of course, again, everywhere I go, we talk about Shaylo Glow and Women Connected in Wisdom. So it talks a little bit about my resiliency. I shared the story. I think the one I shared was when I was in college and I had three jobs and five classes. And if you know anything about a university schedule, five classes is a full load and working all these jobs. So definitely was using my planner, getting stuff done, right? One job was Wendy's. That was minimum wage, but it was good experience, right? Second job was working on campus. And I realized the other day, literally like yesterday, Christine, that you could count working at the gym on campus as being part of the wellness industry. So it's been like over 10 years now, right? And the third job was an RA on campus. And even though that paid for my room and board, which is needed, and we talk about minimizing expenses, it didn't put too much more money back into my pocket. And you need that too. And so, five classes, three jobs. And I had this shout out to Professor Donovan at Kennesaw State. And she was my professor in both my psychology track for my major and Africa and African diaspora studies for my minor. And she said, Shannon, sometimes you have to say no. And I didn't realize that I was saying yes so much until she said that, right? So I said, you know what? After college, I'm not going to have three jobs and five classes. And here I am last year, 2022, working 7 days a week, right? You're laughing because we're not doing this anymore. That's what we're getting to. So I'm working 7 days a week last year, and we're talking about opening the third business. And I said, I've done it again. Now I have three businesses and full-time salary manager, and Professor Donovan said to not do this, but it was for a plan, and now we're better. So that's part of what we talked about in the article. But I'll share it on social media so that you guys can see everything that Canvas Rebel shared.
And if you're watching us on LinkedIn, you can go to my profile, Christine Gotro,
Yeah,
MSW, and it's already on there. And or you can go to Women Connected in Wisdom podcast
yeah.
and like and subscribe to us so you see what's happening. And I realized I put it on my personal profile, but I
Yeah.
didn't put it on our podcast one. So I'm doing that
Mm.
right now as we talk
You're
because
amazing.
I think if you're on LinkedIn, come connect with us. I think that would
Yeah,
be super fun. So
yeah. But yeah, so we've talked about volume two. You know, we've talked about the different things that we're doing that we've done, but this season and everything that we've been connected to, all the different projects around the world, and the people that get plugged in, but don't necessarily have to be plugged into us. I'm super excited about it because it makes it bigger. if it were just the two of us, it would limit it, right? We only have 168 hours in each week, each of us, but when you spread out the team and you have more people, now more people can get more help.
Right? It's that connection in the community. It's about what we're about, right? I love
Yeah.
that. Well, we also had we took 2 weeks off at the
Yes.
holidays, which was like whoop whoop.
Yes.
We had a lot of personal stuff going on, but we were off
Mhm.
and resting, and we were hoping folks got a chance to go back and listen to some episodes. And then we had Michael Ann Valterra for financial, which a fresh financial start, creating the year you desire. She was the one
Amazing.
with the nourishing spending plans.
Hmm.
Mm,
I like that. And weekly check-ins with her partner.
mm-hmm.
I think that's good. If you guys listen to the podcast, I like the profit first system with the money days on the 10th and the 25th. And a tip that Mike gives is, hey, if you feel like you need to look at your finances a little bit more, look at it a little bit more. And because I was the type of person to let it skew too far and not want to look at it, weekly, I think is a great rhythm for me to make sure that I'm really dialing in and organizing the receipts and doing the little things that help make those money days a little more concise.
I love that. Well, then we had our 2-year anniversary show
Mm,
with occupational wellness. We celebrated 2 years on the Women Connected Wisdom podcast. Shout out to all our
yeah,
listeners, all the folks, our guests, all the
yeah,
people who have supported us along the way. It's just been fabulous.
yeah.
Next, we had Laura Madison with Visually Connect, Cultivated Intellectual Wellness.
Hmm.
Woo! I love the power of that show and talking about visualizing and mapping. I had so many ahas during that show. That was really good.
Yes, I even like following her on social media. I just like looking at her stuff. Her stories are so interactive, and the way her page looks, you're gonna. I feel like I can trust I'm gonna get the information I'm gonna need, but I'm not overwhelmed by it. It makes
Right?
sense the way she visually laid it
Mm.
out. A gift.
Well, and she has a community also that
Yes,
is
she
a
does.
good thing to check out. And that
Yes.
was in those show notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we hit episode 100, Environmental
Woo-woo.
Wellness. We did a celebration show with us and several of our guests in
Yes.
creating an environment of celebration. That was super fun. That was,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that I think that pausing and celebrating, that pausing and resting, I think this season
Hmm.
is really an example of Cecile Armstrong, her four pillars, where the fourth pillar is to rest and celebrate.
Yes.
I feel like this whole season was kind of a rest and celebrate season.
Mm. So I hear you. I hear you, but I was trying to adjust my headphones that aren't on my head. I hear you, Christine, but you know me, I'm gonna challenge it though,
Okay.
because yes, we took more weeks off than we usually do, right? But it was also for the holidays, and we said
Right.
that for our business and businesses, we want to operate in that rhythm. We know that, again, we talk about self and community care, and our community is in town or we're in town somewhere else during that time. And in
Right.
order to be fully present, just like we're fully present for everybody for the rest of the year, those weeks are for us. And we're allowed to do that. And that's why we're over here, right? So we
Oh
said that.
no, I think it's wonderful.
No,
Don't
of
get me
course.
wrong.
No, I know you don't, but we talk about this all the time. I just want to give the grace for the listeners who might feel like,
Mm-hmm.
because again, we were very intentional about it. On top of the
Right.
fact that we were both sick and had, excuse me, I was sick. We had family emergencies. There was real life stuff going on, and it was a perfect time to have a little
Right.
more wiggle room. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. It was really well done. And
And
then
and we
you make
launched the community. We launched the second book. So we weren't just like, oh, we're taking off. No, we launched whole new,
I'm hearing you say we
projects.
could do a better job at that. So probably on our goals, we need to do a better job about manifesting some more rest for ourselves sometimes.
No, I
No?
think that we've already done it. I think that we're
Okay.
already intentional, and this year we've done the best job so far because we've been talking about it through it. We talked about our birthdays. We've already included last year the holidays, so we came in as rested as possible, and we know that we're going to repeat that for 2023. So I
Mm,
think we're in a good spot, and we left space for flexibility for whatever we need to be flexible on. So
I love that.
yeah,
Well, when you think about 2023 and you think about manifesting your dreams and you think about your goals, what are
yes.
you dreaming about?
Oh, I'm dreaming about my monthly expenses being paid by each stream. So in each stream, I want my monthly expense to be
Mm-hmm.
paid. That's a
Mm-hmm.
dream. To help, I want, if our goal is 32 authors for the second book, one of them at least we know is a repeat author. We have two people, so let's say 27. I want to start 27 streams of passive income for other people. I love that we get to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
another group of
Mm-hmm.
ladies on here with the passive income for volume two. Dreams paid for speaking, and that's starting already. Again, this month going to Agnes Scott and going to Hiram High School, back to my alma mater. Super excited to go to Hiram. Um, what else would I say? Oh, we have this trip. I mean, trips on the book, right? Written in
Mm-hmm.
pencil that we need to write in pen, to do different book tours, to go up and see Laurel Ann Stark in Canada, and go see Jailon for volume two in Egypt. And, I would love for that to be taken care of. I would love for that to be part of the plan and be able to be written into everything we do this year. What else? Oh, the community. I would love 250 subscribers to both subscription businesses. So that's Shaylo, Glow from Head to Toe. People get it every month because we need it, right? I need it. I'm out. I needed to, not anymore. I had to restock. But for Shaylo Glow, and then for our Women Connected in Wisdom community, I love seeing the ladies blessed at the book signing. I want,
Mm-hmm.
us to be able to do that consistently on a monthly basis. So those are some of the big ones that I think about.
Right. Yeah, I think about the multiplication
Hmm.
of the different communities and households that are being supported and helped, and
I think it's
I
exponentiation. I don't
it
think it's
really
I think it's exponentiation.
it really is powerful, right?
Yeah.
The ripple, when we talk about ripples of kindness, when we talk about ripples of wellness, when we talk about one of our visions and goals when we started this podcast was to uplift women's voices who are traditionally oppressed.
Yeah.
And now we have 18 folks who are authors and can get paid to speak and
Yes.
can can have doors open that didn't have before. And
Hmm.
I think about volume two and just where that's coming. And I think about, all this started with a conversation. And when I think about goals and I think about manifesting,
Hmm.
you know, we say it, we write it, we dance
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
we show up,
Yeah.
right? Because there's the feeling of it, and there's the whoa, wouldn't that be exciting? And then there's the showing up, right?
Hmm.
There's the showing up when we may not feel our best, or giving ourselves grace, but we still show up. And
Yeah.
I think that's powerful. And,
Yeah.
I say it often, Shannon, just a gratitude for being on this journey with you. But the power of doing it in partnership and community and not
Hmm.
taking that for granted. That if you have an accountability buddy, if you
Hmm.
have, I can't tell you the number of times I probably would not have shown up if I didn't know you were waiting for me in the stream
Right.
yard of the Zoom, right?
Yeah. And that's how it is for Manifestation Mondays too, right?
Right,
Tracy admits she is not a morning person, but we were waiting, and she was there, and she's on the book, and she was at the book signing, and she keeps showing up, and we just
right,
keep showing up, and it helps again to know that somebody's there. But no, I appreciate it, and I'm so grateful to be here with you too.
right. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to a couple of our authors that were at the book signing Saturday and have some big
Mhm.
events coming up.
Yeah.
Melody LeBaron is kicking off her course
Mhm.
this month, actually, and it is her Shine On course. And if you listen to her episode, you've heard me gush, y'all, because I'm a fangirl when it comes to Melody.
Yeah.
She does a decluttering and organizing course online that's virtual that anybody can join that is incredible. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend that. And if you sign up for it, tell her that Women Connected in Wisdom sent you, because we love that when we can connect people to each other, right? And we'll put
Yeah.
that in our show notes. And Cecile Armstrong has a new community coming up.
Hmm.
Everyday activism practice. Is that right?
I don't think
Habit.
so.
Everyday activism habit. I believe that's right. She's launching her new website and community, and it is rock star awesome, y'all. You want to check it out about how to learn your facts and undo oppression and undo racism and all the isms really with the work that she
Yeah,
teaches, and how to take care of yourself and your community along the way. So,
really important. And we'll get
right?
the correct name because I think it's like a word, something. I want to put equity in there, but I'm not sure if it's in the new one. I know she was working on the website, but we'll make sure that we get it correct and put it in the show notes for you guys.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just so much good happening in a
Hmm.
world where if you look at the news, that often you think it's really only horrible stuff, and there is some really horrible stuff happening.
Yeah.
That we want to acknowledge and bear witness to, um, and just whew.
And we talked about it before the podcast, that sometimes it's too much for one body to bear.
Mhm,
If it's not for me to pick up, or not to say that if it's not for me to carry all by myself, if it's not my
mhm,
personal situation, then I, we do operate in, I don't want to say operate in separation, but there's different degrees that it affects you to. And that's why I appreciate the community to be able to talk about it sometimes. But it's also fair, and we talk about being real on social media, right? Last week we were talking about that app that you
mhm,
use with your part of your community, and I've been thinking about it all week. And on the platform, it's really important to be honest, for us to give a voice to the voices that are oppressed, and that's something that's a value of ours, right? But at the same time, again, as being somebody who shares, I think it's important to know what you're ready to share and what you're not ready to share. And like Brene Brown says,
mhm.
if it's healed and you can share it, then okay. But if it's still tender and it's still vulnerable and you haven't worked it out, if somebody says something and that might make you have a mental allergic reaction or respond a certain way, then maybe that's not ready to share yet. And so that's something that, as a business owner who does a podcast like this and who wants to give
Mhm,
space to ladies, that's something that I not struggle with, but am intentional about, because there's always a new situation, I feel like. Um,
mhm,
but
mhm.
unfortunately, because we know that, that's why I lean so heavily on what is it that we can do? What are you doing for yourself in this moment? And if you can process it within yourself and the tools that you have, okay. If you need community to add an extension to that, absolutely. And then we go outside of that. This is the way that you can be specific about getting down to what you need so we can get to the problem, the root of the problem, instead of all these different stories that we see and just shortly give it some attention and then keep going, when really people
Right.
need help. We need to help this person financially, this person needs spiritual help, this person needs social help and occupational help. That gives me peace when I think about the list of stuff that's going on domestically and internationally, and again what I have control over and what I share or spend my time on, or focus my attention to.
I love that. I have a couple of people I follow on LinkedIn that I'd love to give shout outs to, and some of the
Yeah,
work that they shared today, with it being the first day of Black History Month. Are you
would love
you up
that.
for that?
Yes, please.
So, one of the awesome people I follow is Ashley R. Oliver, ESQ. She is a diversity and equity trainer and a civil rights
Mhm,
attorney.
mhm,
And she posted how to support Black women this Black History Month. And these are tough questions for non Black allies and accomplices. And I will just
mhm.
read some of the headlines. Number
Okay.
one, will you use your voice to call out racial injustices against Black women? Like that everyday activism that Cecile talks about. Like, how to do that and do it well and
Mhm,
be a really good support. Number two, how are you financially compensating Black women for their labor? As
mhm,
some of the most underfunded folks in our country, that it's important to be paying attention to that.
mhm,
Number three, who are you voting for, and are they accountable to Black women? Like, our votes count and they
mhm.
matter, and we need to be paying attention to that. Number four, what stereotypes and that word has a hard time coming out of my mouth.
Fetishizations.
Yes, about
Got you.
Black women have you believed? So,
Mhm,
like, undoing that part of ourselves that we may not even realize, the
mhm,
stereotypes that are attached to them. Number five, if you have access to power, are you willing to share it with Black women? Like mentoring and sponsorship. And because historically, Black women have less access to power in America. So if you have it, share it.
mhm.
Number 6, are you willing to study issues facing Black women with non-Black people? This is one of my things that I do in the world. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
important for non-Black folks to come together and read, research, and reflect together and process grief and guilt together, and not making our Black friends do it with us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening to this podcast, y'all, it's not up to our Black friends to talk about Black History Month with us. Like, do your research, read, study, follow, pay people that are doing this work that are Black and brown. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, what systems do you have? Wait, what do system? I think this one's written a little different. What
Okay.
do systems you have leadership and power, and
Mm-hmm.
that you can turn anti-racist?
In leadership and
So
power that you can turn
basically, it's
anti-racist.
talking about what spaces do you have privilege in, and where
Right.
can you make changes in procedure. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, basically looking at policies that may be colorblind, or there's disparate impact, or they might
Mm-hmm.
be outright racist, and how can
Mm-hmm.
you make changes and power from the inside in systems you already belong to. And
Yeah.
number 8, how long can you keep this up? What is your racial resilience?
Mm.
Right? And checking in with yourself. But that's about the 8 dimensions of wellness, right? Like, if
Yeah.
we take care of ourselves in order to take care of our community, this is
Mm-hmm.
what we're talking about. I mean, we
Yeah.
talk about it all the time, but I think it's especially important to lift it up right now. And y'all, if you are inviting Black speakers to come in and talk for Black History Month, pay them. Pay them. Don't
Mm-hmm.
expect them to come in for free. Um, yeah, it's
I
important,
second that motion.
right?
I
Right?
second it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's just one of the numerous people that are out there doing incredible work
Yeah.
in the world. And whatever platform you're on, check it out. Follow, listen, learn, and yeah, let's do our work, especially those of us that are not Black or brown, that walk
Yeah.
around in light white skin. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important. You have
And
anything to add to that, my friend?
I mean, I agree with all of them. I think it's important to be intentional. I was thinking earlier, as I was thinking about Kennesaw and this college I'm about to go speak at, what is it, next week, in the next 2 weeks. Um, when I was at Kennesaw, and I'm getting older, realizing the unconscious biases that I had, or things that I thought about myself that I didn't realize, this falls in line with the way that people think about me as a category, and maybe not how I think about myself as a person. Why is that, or what does that look like? Even for example, and this is one of my favorite books, Secrets of Six Figure Women. And she was talking about not negotiating the salary, and I hadn't even thought about it. It wasn't that I told myself no, it was that I hadn't considered it. Every time they asked me to switch a location at Papado, should have asked for more money. Um, and so it's just the way that you think about yourself and the way that you think about other people. While other people educate themselves, in Black History Month, I also reflect on myself and this is what the history is, this is what it was, it's what they said it was. What do I want the future to look like, and what can I learn from that? And me paying attention to that is the reason why we're here right now. And I'm able to work in these 3 businesses and positively impact people's wellness on the physical level and in every other dimension, because I'm intentional about that, because it's a lot. A lot that has happened.
Right?
And so we have a long way to go. Yes. But looking forward to partnering with you and doing the work, and huge shout out to you and people like you who do the work, because it's not easy when you could choose to instead say, not my problem. But instead you say, no, I'm not okay with it. This is what we're going to do about it. And you do your wisdom in action and do it with a lot of other people. So I definitely appreciate you and everything that you stand for.
Wow. Thank you, my friend. It is, I think it's all of our responsibility,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because I usually have the quote, but it's not in my memory today, but it's the one about, until your liberation is tied with my liberation. Like, um, yeah, it's important that we lift each other up, and we have equal rights, and we have these things just Yeah, there's so much. It's so
Yeah.
deep and so important. And
Hmm.
I know we're at the end of the show, so that's
And
why
that's
I'm
okay.
hesitating because I don't want to
No,
open it all up right here at the end.
it's fine. Join us in the community. We'll talk about it more. This is what
Right.
Cecile talks about. You know, it's what we spend time talking about. But um, what was I gonna say? We were talking about more to talk about. What did you just say, Christine? What was the last thing you said?
Well, I was saying about equal rights and
Oh,
about, yeah,
so I was thinking about Cecile, you know, because it was really her who helped me understand the equality versus equity. And
yep.
equity is, you know, is does each person have what they need to get to where they need to go? And so she had
Right.
this beautiful picture of a bike at our conference, at our international conference in October. And if everybody has the same bike, it feels like it's great, right? But this person who is differently abled, or this child is now riding an adult bike, or
Mhm.
this guy is riding this bike that's too small for him, and this woman's riding a bike that was too big. It was an example, right? This picture. And that made sense. And so the next picture, it was a bike that accommodated this person's level of ability, and a smaller bike for the person whose stature was smaller, and this bike was perfect. And that's how I think about it now, you know. So whatever makes it so that everybody can be well taken care of, and that looks different for different people, is my vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was thinking about our wisdom in action, and I was thinking about the hashtag be intentional.
Mm,
Because I think that's about when we're talking about manifesting, when we're talking about goals, when we're talking about equity, when we're talking about women connected wisdom. I think it is that be intentional, right?
yeah.
Like we are intentionally, and we give ourselves grace and we go with the flow. If y'all know how many goals we're like, well, we're bumping that one,
Hmm.
but we keep showing up and we keep going for it and we keep, I think the showing up, that's the other one. My wisdom in action is hashtag
Mm,
show up for
hmm.
yourself, because we're showing up for ourselves, we're showing up for each other, and we're showing up for the world.
And that's true whether you're like us on a podcast that's top 10% of the world, right? Or if you're a janitor, if you're a lunch lady, if you're, and not to say that that's the opposite of on top of the world, you know, but wherever you are, that is the reality. You're showing up for the world. So when the world remembers you, how did you show up when that happened, you know?
Mhm.
And not in a way of make sure that your eyelashes on, your eyebrows are perfect, not in that way, but were you able to show up completely yourself, authentically, like Tracy Reese talks about, you know, living a life that you fight for, how Shannon Ivy talks about? Or are there things that are stopping you from that? Maybe you're not okay today. Maybe it's the emotional and mental that needs some support. We can get some people tied in, you know, like, and that's how it
Dr.
is.
Cynthia Phelps and the
You know
inner
what I
ally.
mean?
That was so
Absolutely.
powerful this
So
week.
good.
I have to give her a shout out because
Yeah.
she did a really incredible session at the book signing, and then she
Yes, she
came home
did.
to my kitchen table and did everybody at the table.
Oh, I was like, I want a card, but I had to go somewhere else. But yeah,
Right? And
I
it
love the inner
was
ally card.
powerful. It was
Mm.
that work she does with her inner ally deck is just top notch. So,
Which one was pulled for you? Which inner ally after the book
the
signing?
Saints
Mm.
was, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, I was asking the question about how to juggle this year
Hmm.
with all the businesses we have going on and family commitments and
Hmm.
things going on,
Yeah.
and that was the one that was pulled, and it was about inner forgiveness. It was about, doing our personal work and doing the inner forgiveness work in order to keep going. And, and I think, and the message I really got from that too was, we don't have to be perfect. I mean, we know
Mm.
this and we say it and we talk about it, and our society still demands it of us in so many ways. And so just when we fall short of the mark, or when we can't do something right, that to
Mm.
forgive ourselves and to keep going.
Mm. So it because you said short of the mark on my hashtag, my wisdom in action, and I hear everything you're saying to give space for it, is right on the money. I feel like we're right on the money, right? Sometimes you might feel like you fall short, but the reality is that you make a plan, and does it ever go exactly? Steps 1 through 10 don't go through 10. Okay, you stopped at 5.5, and something happened, and then you ended up at 12, and we were done. You know, so right on the money, and just trusting that everything is right on time. I'm where I should be when I should be there with the things that I need for the situations that I'm going to face. You know, so that's my um, wisdom in action this week as we wrap everything up.
I love that so much.
Is that an action though? Or is it just maybe that's my belief? Maybe that's me saying I'm believing.
Right?
Should I do another wisdom in action? I don't think
You
that
like to do too.
I
So
do
I
like to do
definitely
too.
think
I
you
want to
should
make sure
do
I'm
too.
meeting the criteria. Let's see. So we're wrapping season 11. If I had an action, what am I about to do? Hmm. What I will say is, ooh, okay. So if I'm going to say actions, what I will do is write and speak. We're talking about manifesting, right? Write and speak with clarity.
Mm.
Because I need to figure out what my chapter is for volume 2. I don't know yet. Okay. And we're about to speak. We're about to speak at a couple of different schools. I have a lot of big events coming up this month. And there's a lot of different topics that I could talk about. So I know whichever one I pick is going to be relevant and amazing. And I'm looking forward to it. So, given that
And will you
confidence,
tell our listeners one more time where to
yes.
find you this Sunday at the Black Beauty Expo in Atlanta?
Absolutely. So we're going to be at the Georgia International Convention Center. Again, booth 127 when you come to the Black Beauty Expo. Shalo Glow, we have the Women Connected in Wisdom stuff. We're going to have the Shalo Glow products and walk you through a really lovely experience so you can glow from head to toe.
So excited for you, my friend.
Thank you
It's
so
gonna,
much.
gonna be
Excited for
awesome.
us. You're not there, but you're going to be there. You're in
Oh, I'm
Canvas
gonna be
Rebel.
there.
We're
I'm getting
we're
my
on.
tickets and coming to see you.
Oh,
I
I
may
can't
be
wait to
the
see
only
you
white
there.
woman at the Black Beauty
That's
Expo, but I'm
fine.
coming.
That's fine. Yeah, she's with me. My business partner. Excuse me. We're partners. Excuse me. It's like a relationship. Like like yeah, that's what it is.
I can't miss this because this is so big. This is
Thank you.
exciting and just
Yeah.
such a big deal. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fun. I just
Thank you.
yeah. And also for our local folks, if they
Yeah.
want to come to your retail space, because we haven't really
Yes.
talked about it much on the show, where do they find you?
But so the retail space is on Auburn Avenue, 228 Auburn Avenue Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia, 30303. And usually if you're looking to meet me there and you want me to walk you through the products, I'm usually there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This week it is going to the music video and the event. So I will be in person at the Black Beauty Expo again this weekend and setting up for that before. But we're there all week. It is closed on Sunday, and Saturday it opens at 12. So 12 to 5 on Saturday and 10 to 5 every other day. There's always somewhere in there in the Spark lab that will be able to help you.
I love that so much.
Thank you
Oh,
so much.
just so
Yes.
much goodness happening. And y'all, if you're listening to us as our listeners, give us
Yes.
a shout out and let us know your dreams and goals for
Mm,
2023 and how we can best support you because being
absolutely.
connected is one of those things that we love to give you support and shout outs and we'd love to show up if we could. If you're doing
Yeah.
something and we're in the area, we'll come by and say hi. So
Absolutely. And one thing we talked about too with the Connected Envision party was following back up at the end of the year. And okay, this is what you saw for yourself, just like retail was on mine last year and that happened, right? What ended up happening with your goals? So if you end up on our list, you'll be in the community and we'll be able to follow up and see what we said and what actually came to fruition.
I can't believe we're out of time, but we're out of time, my friend.
It's okay.
Right?
Until
We'll be
next
back
time,
next
yeah.
week.
Until
Right?
next season 12, right? Thank you so much for joining us live at 5, ladies. And we will see you next week for the beginning of season 12 and episode 102. In the meantime, be well, be wise, be whole. We'll see you soon.